just so different and just worked perfectly. Like, dude, that was not the intention when I made that loop.
So I ended up getting second place in Kyle Beats' biggest contest ever, and today I'm going to show you how I did it. Alright, starting off, the sample that I chose was this Orpheus loop from Kyle's pack. And the reason why I chose this sample is because in my experience, I sort of like the sound of a guitar played in reverse. It almost sounds like a violin. And so I sort of wanted to make that the centerpiece, the center idea of the beat. So the first thing that I did was I took the sample and I put it into Momentum, which is a free sampler. It's just better than Fruity Slicer or SliceX in my opinion. It just offers a lot more functionality and versatility. And like I said, the first thing that I did was I reversed the sample here. And I also pitched it up a tiny bit. And then I started going through the different chops here to try to piece together a loop until eventually I was able to come up with this. It's just a half bar loop, but in my experience, using a short loop like this as the centerpiece of your beat can really help create an aggressive energy. Next up, what I did was I manipulated the sample with a ton of effects. First thing that I did was I EQ'd and filtered some of the frequencies that I don't need out and boosted the ones that I do need. After this, I saturated and recolored the sample using Saturn as well as Reels, which is a tape saturation effect. Next up, I used Filter Freak here, and I used this effect that's constantly modulating throughout the beat. That way the loop will have some movement to it throughout the beat, which is especially helpful since this is just a half bar loop again. I gotta make it more interesting somehow, so this is something that definitely helped. And after that, some delay and reverb to help the loop take up more room and sound big, because again, I want this to be the main focal point of the beat. And then some slight EQing here just to help rebalance the sample after all these effects are put on top. Now after this, I programmed the 808 here. Since the loop is almost behaving like an ARP, it's just a short repeating pattern, I use the 808 to provide the sort of larger melodic backbone to the beat. Same thing with the drum pattern, again, nothing too out there and complicated. I kept this pretty simple as well. And then some additional percussion to add a layer of detail here. Again, I didn't want to get too wild with the drums or the percussion. I sort of wanted to push the other sounds in my beat instead. I don't want every single sound in my beat to sound out there and crazy. Again, I sort of do want some balance. And with the main idea of my beat done here, I sort of wanted to introduce some more unique textures at this point. So I have this layer here. This is actually the exact same sample. You guys can hear how it sounds without any effects on top. These are guitar sounds that I found in the exact same sample. Now this does sound pretty awful to be honest, but what I just wanted to do here was find a set of notes that worked with my initial loop and create a counter melody. And from here, to get this to actually sound good, what I did was I used a whole bunch of effects here. And again, just like before, Saturn and Reels to help saturate and recolor the sample. After this, I used Super VHS, a flanger, and a chorus effect to help the sample sound a lot more thick and wide. After that, I used an EQ to get rid of the frequencies that I don't need and help control some of that distortion that you guys probably heard. And then the two big effects that really changed the sound were M Auto Pitch as well as Saturn once again. Auto Pitch, this is a plugin that's free. This is something I like to use whenever I want to harmonize my sound. I use this preset here, A Woman from a Man. And with Saturn here, I used a more creative effect, this preset called Octave Down. It basically takes whatever you're playing and plays it an octave down. So you guys can hear how this sounds. And then again, another EQ to help reshape this new sound that I have, as well as a replica to make it sound a little bit bigger and throw it back into the mix a tiny bit. So after adding all of these effects and really manipulating the sample, it started to sound to me like an auto-tuned vocal sample almost. So I wanted to find an accompanying texture that complemented this one. At this point I went into expand and found this preset here under the guitars, and I played this simple pattern out here. It sort of has this vocal quality to it, almost like it's a vocal sample put through a vocoder. At least to me, that's just what I heard, I don't know. And so to really bring that idea out of this sound, what I did was I used a whole bunch of effects once again. Again, auto pitch to harmonize the sound, saturn and reels to saturate and recolor it, a flanger and chorus, again, to make it sound a little bit more wide. That's what really brought out that almost vocal quality to it. And then 2 EQs on top of each other. I'm not sure why, I probably could have just used one here. Again, to get rid of the frequencies that I don't need, boost the ones that I do need. And then again, replica to throw this back into the mix a tiny bit. And those are the main sounds in the beat. A few interesting things that I did in the arrangement though. The beat's intro starts off with just the main loop playing here without any effects or anything on top, as well as a vocal tag that I found in one of Kyle's old videos.
Kyle Beats. Let's get it.
Then we get into the verse section here. I introduce some of those textures that I showed you guys, take some away, try to keep the beat moving like that. Again, since the main loop is pretty short and repetitive, I had to do some extra work here by adding and dropping different layers to help the beat overall not sound repetitive. At this point, we get to the first bridge here. What I did was I took a bunch of different notes from the exact same loop, and I just pitched them down an octave. And then I added this riser on top, as well as these big booming 808s to help build up some anticipation. And then we get into the hook where all those sounds come in at once. A few additional things that I added into this section. I have this synth bass playing here. It just followed along with what the 808 was doing just to help create a bigger feel to this section. And I also extracted a vocal sample from one of Kyle's songs and added that into the section as well. And from there I went into an alternate section where instead of using an 808, I used that exact same synth bass from the hook as the main bass for this section. And that exact same loop that I had in the bridge here that I pitched an octave down, I used that exact same loop, but I pitched it back to its normal level. If I could go back and do something a little bit different, I'd probably make a change to the drums in this section as well to create some variation, but it is what it is. And then after this, the beat repeats, and that's pretty much it. This beat took a full day to make. I actually made a beat prior to this, which I didn't end up liking, so I moved on to this idea instead. So this is the first beat that I came up with. Which used this sample from his loop kit. And finally, I want to say thank you to all my viewers and subscribers for helping me out and voting for my beat. I probably would have gotten lost in the shuffle and not had my beat seen had it not been for you guys, so thank you very much. I couldn't have done it without you guys. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. My free drum kit is available in the description box below. Join the Discord if you're interested in having your beat reviewed live, and I will see you guys next time.